Do I look like Halloween threw up all over me? I absolutely do. Am I leaning into it? I absolutely am. Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica and I appreciate you being here. I also appreciate you rolling with my full-on basic, leaning into all of the Halloween / fall things going on. I've already had so many pumpkin spice lattes, it's not even funny. Am I full-on basic when it comes to fall stuff? I absolutely am, and I embrace it. Just embrace it. It's okay to embrace the basic if that's what you're into. I try to do more spooky mood reading when it comes to the fall and leading up to Halloween for sure, just like I think so many people do as well. I think a lot of us are always on the hunt for good seasonal reads. So I do have a few books picked out. I'm gonna be doing dedicated videos for each one, just dedicated reviews, so you can see maybe this is a Halloween vibey kind of a book that I might want to pick up. Going to be rating the spookiness of each one, the vibiness of each one. I feel pretty good about the ones that I've picked out. I'm hoping none of them are like stinkers, but I'm going to briefly show you here what I have planned for my TBR. And I do have to set my adorable Hello Kitty mug down, unfortunately, because I got books I gotta be holding up. We got priorities here, people. Fever House. This is a recent horror release. I'm so excited. I've been so excited for this since I first saw this cover. I think it was maybe even in May when I saw it. I don't know. It was months ago. It was recently released. I grabbed it right away and I'm very excited to read this. This is not like a Halloween-y book. This is just gonna be straight up horror. Look at this cover. Come on, I'm hoping this is gonna be maybe a culty. Obviously, don't give me a cover like this and then not deliver a cult, because nobody likes a tease. The brief information from the little jacket blurb is that this book is gonna follow a hand, presumably this hand, as it wreaks a little havoc. Maybe raises a little hell, haha, yeah, that is terrible, but I'm gonna leave it in. I'm gonna leave it in. So we're gonna follow this hand. Don't know why it's called Fever House. Is there a house that's gonna be like hot? I don't know. I'm gonna read it though. As far as recent horror goes, this has absolutely been like at the top of my list. So perfect time of year to really bunker down and maybe read this. Maybe read this into the night, kind of in some dim lighting. I just want to be freaked out, and I really hope that this book lives up to the cover, because like guys, Mr. Keith Rawson and publisher, y'all have set my expectations really high with this, so don't let me down. The next one, I've got All Hallows. This came out actually earlier this year and I haven't really heard anyone talking about it. I'm not entirely sure why, possibly because it was released at like a really weird time of the year for what kind of a book it is. So not only is this gonna be like a horror story with supernatural stuff, but I believe it actually takes place on Halloween. So, and I think they released it in maybe like January or something crazy, like out of season for a Halloween book. Maybe that's why not that many people have been talking about it up to this point. But a book that takes place on Halloween, there's gonna be like, sounds kind of like a boogeyman kind of a thing coming out of the woodworks on Halloween, some real weird supernatural stuff. So if we're talking about like spooky Halloween vibes, I hope that this one will deliver. First of all, we all just need to appreciate the cat that's on this cover, of course, because if you've seen any of my videos before, I think you probably know I'm into covers that have cats on them, so good job. Good job, publisher of this short story collection. This is a short story collection. I'm not going to be reading all of them though. I'm just going to be reading the short story, The Mezzotint. And because it's a short story, I haven't read too much of the synopsis. I've just seen this one recommended like all over. If you want like a good creepy ghost story that stays with you. This, I believe, was published in the early 1900s, maybe around like 1904. So it might have some like Victorian kind of supernatural ghost story to it as well, which I always like those. I've gotten in the past, usually on my Kindle, because you can get like these huge collections for almost nothing, but like old-fashioned like ghost stories that you can read through. I'm hoping that this will just deliver a nice creepy little story. The Mezzotint is a short story from this author that a lot of people recommend as one of the best they've ever read for really creeping them out. So I don't know, that's kind of set my expectations high once again. Once again, my expectations are high, but all I want to do, I want some spooky stories. I want a spooky ghost story. So let's try some Victorian spooky ghost literature. A Night in the Lonesome October. This is one that I see recommended all over the place as like the perfect Halloween book. It's got 31 chapters in it, so a lot of people read like one chapter per night. Although it has been recommended not to do that if it's your first time reading it, because you're not really going to get into the flow of the story that way. But I guess on a reread, a lot of people like to do one chapter per night as they go through the month of October. This takes place in Victorian London. There's some spookiness, some humor, some horror, some mystery, supernatural stuff. Even this cover, I think, is pretty fantastic, very appealing. Kind of makes you curious, right? Just a little intriguing. What's going to be in this book? I also have the Books of Amber by this author, Roger Zelazny, so if I really love this one, I might have to move that up on my TBR. And then finally, yet another quintessential Halloween book. I've got Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. Now, I have actually read this before one time many years ago, so I don't really remember what happens because, like, who's got that kind of space in their brain? But I do like Ray Bradbury, so this one I am very excited to read. It's about a creepy carnival that comes to town like right before Halloween. Is there anything more Halloween vibey than a creepy carnival in October? So that's going to be my spooky TBR plans leading up for the next like month and a half until we get to Halloween. I think that this is a pretty reasonable amount. Woo, this is quite a slippery stack of books, let me tell you. It's a pretty reasonable amount of like spooky Halloween stories because like I don't only read spooky stories during Halloween. I do still have normal reading that I do, so I didn't want to just like bombard myself with like 15 spooky books and have that be like the only thing that I'm allowed to read for the next month and a half. So I think I have a pretty reasonable, 5 is a pretty reasonable number, I think, especially I want to make dedicated videos for them. We'll see. Are they spooky? Are they good for Halloween? Are they scary? Are they worthy of being read at this time of year when so many of us we just want a little spookiness in our lives, right? Like, look at me. I'm wearing this little witch hat. This is so ridiculous, and I'm still doing it because I just want to be a little spooky sometimes. I also really like scary movies and scary shows, so I know Mike Flanagan, who did the Haunting of Hill House series on Netflix, he's got a new series coming out based on the fall of the House of Usher, so I'm absolutely going to be binging that one. I also really like the Conjuring universe, so I usually rewatch the movies in that series during the month of October. The new Nun movie is out, so I do have plans to see that as well. I feel like people either really liked or really didn't like the first Nun movie. I was really into it. It was like just super creepy atmosphere, so I really liked it, and I'm excited to see another story with like a creepy demon nun. Yeah. I think that's all that I've got for updates today. You are probably still watching this if you like Halloween seasonal vibey reading, because I feel like anyone who's not into that has probably clicked out. But if you're still watching and you're not super into like seasonal Halloween reading, I love that you're here, and rest assured not all of my content over the next month and a half is gonna be Halloween related. So no worries, I do still have like non-Halloween plans for my videos coming up as well. That's all that I've got for today. What do you think of my spooky TBR? Do you have any plans to read any of the books that I've talked about, or have you read any of the books that I've talked about? What are some books on your TBR coming up for Halloween or for fall? Do you do seasonal reading, or you just read whatever, whenever? Because I do a little both. I do a little both. But let me know if you have any good like Halloween or spooky season reads that you're excited about. Let me know what they are. I would love to have more books to put on my TBR. I've got an endless TBR, so I always welcome new suggestions for books that I can add. That's all that I've got here for you today. I always appreciate you stopping by. Please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this. I'll see you next time. Thanks.